Now, for many years, South African schools in rural communities have gone without adequate running water and poor sanitation. The Water Research Commission, in partnership with the Department of Education, will roll out its new Generation Sanitation plan in the Eastern Cape this week. For more on this, let's speak now to the Executive Manager for Innovation of the Water Research Commission, Dr. Valerie Naidoo. A very good morning to you. Thank you for your time. As I was reading through some of the work around this innovation, flushing toilets in a water-stressed environment, I mean, that stands out. It sounds good on paper. How does it work?
Basically, we built a modular appliance-based system in partnership with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Department of Science and Innovation, and commercial partners. And essentially, it's like a decentralized system that is you're able to flush. Your flush water goes in, it gets treated to a standard that is suitable for reflushing. And so the cycle continues.
Mm-hmm. The Department of Basic Education has planned to eradicate the pit latrine toilet system within the 2022-23 financial year. And, of course, there's been a lot of complaints about the slow pace that this process is moving. In taking into consideration some of the challenges that we're faced with on a day-to-day, like the energy crisis in South Africa, are these toilets feasible under the current energy challenges?
So this particular launch that we're doing is a much lower energy system, so it can go fully off-grid with solar as well. So it does take the energy challenges that we have. But even the other toilets that we are testing as off-grid systems are looking at trying to build in as much simplicity as well as taking it off the grid so that you're not reliant on any one of the services that may not be provided, especially in rural and remote areas.
I mean, what was the aim and the considerations in mind in bringing this toilet to life?
So I think it's born of research showing that essentially as South Africa, we have both an inequitable and unequal society. But our sanitation choices are also starting to show that between VIP toilets for rural, remote areas, areas that don't have reliable water, areas where maybe the skill sets and capacities are a little bit lower. And then basically in the urban areas where we do have flush toilets, waterborne toilets, quite wasteful ways as well in terms of how we use our toilet facilities. And so how do you take research and you're able to design that allows you to fully recycle this water? You're able to use the nutrients that come from our own human waste for gardens and community gardens, for example. Also, in some systems, they're able to regenerate energy just based on the processes that we use. So some of the energy can be, biogas produced, etc. So it's about using a number of different innovative processes and then bringing them together so that they're able to give us a certain quality of product at the end of the day that meets the criteria that we set out.
Yeah. How many such products can be rolled out? And I suppose the big question is, at what cost?
And I think that's an important question because very often when we think about like the cheaper VIP options, we're also not taking into consideration the cost of desludging. Where does that sludge go to? How do we treat that sludge? It's almost like an unknown cost that we seem to not bother too much about. So what we're saying is in order to provide sustainable systems, let's look at a full economic analysis as well, not only from an annual basis or a CapEx or an OpEx basis, but from a full life cycle costing. What does this mean if we plan in a much more sustainable way? Maybe not for every 3 years, but 15, 20 years. How do we manage the operations and maintenance and the service costs associated with these systems? And this, in turn, then brings more sustainability, less pollution to the environment, less contamination of our water sources, and breaking the disease cycle, which is the primary aim of managing sanitation, is to stop disease continuing within societies.
How much will one of these toilets cost?
So at the moment, we've got prototype costs in it. And what we're doing is we're benchmarking across. So can we benchmark versus a VIP versus a septic tank versus all the different options that we have? And once we start should I say, the optimization from the manufacturing point of view, we'll be able to, I think, be very competitive in the future.
Dr. Naidoo, you're not answering my question. So just in terms of a price range, what are we looking at?
So what we've based it on, and the reason I'm not giving you an answer is because across the country, the costs are different. And what we're talking about is a system rather than a toilet. So toilets, for example, you can get very cheap toilets, 2,000 to 5,000. And then basically, some of those toilets are based on low inefficiencies, depending on the material costs, etc. So to actually just give you a cost right now is unfair, because I think across the country, people won't actually make any sense from what I'm saying to you. But what I can say is we're benchmarking the cost.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, we're looking to see how do we get best value, not only from the current cost from a CapEx point of view, but the overall life cycle cost. So as a country, when we're investing and we're allocating funds into school sanitation, can we make the best choices based on long-term value as to just the price?
Yeah. Very well. Thank you so much for your time. Let's perhaps leave it there for now. Speaking there to the Executive Manager for Innovations at the Water Research Commission, Dr. Valerie Naidoo.